Okay, so next up we have Community Corrections. We've got Barbara Caskey here to present that. Very brief introduction because I've learned my lesson from the last one. Dry humor. The budget page you're looking for the calendar fund, there's two Community Corrections budgets, one for the calendar fund on page D1, and then one for the fiscal fund on page D25. The biggest impact to the general fund, in fact, the only impact to the general fund, is the pretrial coordinator position that Community Corrections is requesting and that we've recommended at a total cost of $75,481. That is equal to the amount of general fund support recommended increase. Currently, with the 2018 recommended budget, if enacted, we would be supporting 27% of Community Corrections expenditures. And with that, I will turn it over to Barb.
Good afternoon. As he mentioned, what we've requested is a 1 FTE for our pretrial services. Last year, when we came in front of the board, we also requested 1 FTE. We did receive a 0.5 FTE. As we anticipated, pretrial services increased dramatically. We went from about 469 individuals on pretrial supervision to 803 so far in FY17, so we still have a month left. If some of you may be aware of the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission that's also coming out with some standards that are going to impact us as well. One of those is that they will require counsel at first appearance, and we are certain that is going to cause another increase in pretrial supervision, which we're happy to do if we have the staff to do it. So that's where that increase comes from this year. And that is, as he mentioned, the only change to our general fund budget. So if there are any questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Your intergovernmental budget went from 195 down to 50. So I'm just wondering what the large decrease is in the revenues from intergovernmental.
Is it the JAG? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Those are federal JAG dollars that we receive. We receive one of those grants every year. However, the Sheriff's Department and myself had a conversation with Warren Police Department, who is actually receives by far the greater share of those dollars. It's sort of a group JAG grant that we get that they receive, usually about 75% of the dollars that come in. That's the number that you see there, is their share plus my share plus the Sheriff's Department share. So after a number of years of administrating for that grant, we talked to Warren Police Department, and they are now going to be doing that. So the monies we received last year are no longer in the county budget. Warren is taking those, and if we have expenses that we need to invoice for our portion, which I believe is about $11,000 for last year, and an additional $11,000 for the Sheriff's Department, it's going to go through Warren's budget. So that's the big difference that you're seeing there.
Well, okay. It's kind of the big difference, but I see that it was 195, and if you say you'll be billing them for 11,000, there's still a big difference between 195 and, let's just say, the 50 plus 11,000 that we were billing them. What did we do, or was that money there for other places to bill you, and then
Exactly.
we would pay them?
Exactly.
Okay.
That was the bulk of that money was Warren's to begin with, so they invoiced through us because we were the administrator of that grant.
Okay, that makes sense. Conferences and training, none of it was used in 16 or 17, but it's still been budgeted every year for it. At least from what I see, it hasn't been used.
And that's in that same funding org through JAG?
It is? Are you asking me or are you telling me?
Yeah, it is. There's
Oh
a small portion. There's a small portion. I just want to make sure we're on the same page because we have that same line item in several of our budgets, so I want to make sure we're on the same one. They require that we put the administrative cost into that line item, and I believe it was for the last 2 years, those grants are still open. So they're actually 4-year grants. When you receive them, you have 4 years to spend it. So if there were not specific expenses that we have for those categories, and they wouldn't have come out of that.
Okay, and is capital outlay kind of in that too? Because capital outlay was, no, obviously this is a good side of things. It was $63,000 in 2017, and we don't have any capital outlay suggested in 2018.
Again, in those JAG dollars, depending on where that money comes in, I know in one of the fiscal years, the money that was designated for my department as well as the sheriff's department was put in capital outlay, and then another year it was moved to another category. Okay. So I think it was just a change in the accounting for that particular grant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you. Okay, this pretrial service coordinator that you're requesting, is this coinciding with the jail study that we had as a start?
It is. I think it's over the course of the last 3 years, so it started before the study. But I think as we've had conversations with the district courts and the circuit courts within Macomb County, it's really increased the amount of referrals that are coming to us. We understand that we have a limited amount of space at the jail, and so if we have individuals that are more appropriately supervised in the community, we're doing that. And I think we've had several changes in the bench as well that have resulted in an increased amount of referrals to our office. But again, I think the conversations that we've been having about central intake and the need to do things a little bit better than what we've been doing has certainly impacted it.
And that's why you're requesting the position, to get it in place for something along those lines?
And to address the already existing increase that we've had in referrals for that.
Yeah, what did you say? You had the number it was 403 in 2015?
469 in FY16. We go from an October 1 to a September 30th. And so far in 17, we're at 803.
And presumably those 803 people, they're not sitting in jail.
Exactly.
They're actually out on a tether or some kind of thing through
Exactly.
pretrial services. So the more we do that, the less bed space we need, in a sense.
That's exactly what we're hoping is presented with the RFP that's coming in through the Sheriff's Department, and the conversations that we've had with the Sheriff's Administration is that if we can increase the capacity for pretrial services, the more inmates we can see, the less that we're going to have that may not necessarily need to be sitting in the jail. Certainly there's a good amount that do. They shouldn't be in the community,
Right.
And what we're there for is to determine that. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other speakers? Seeing none, is there a motion to receive and file? Moved by Majek, supported by Kleinfeld. Please vote on your iPad.
Thank you very much.